Welcome to the world of science fiction stories, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe my channel. Enjoy the listening. The enemy celebrated too soon. Then the war storm struck. The sky burned red over New Washington as the Vex warships descended through Earth's atmosphere. Commander Jack Reynolds stood at the Lunar Defense Base Observatory, his face grim as he watched his home world suffer. The massive viewscreen displayed real-time footage from Earth's surface, buildings crumbling, defense turrets firing desperately at the alien ships, and civilians running for shelter that wouldn't protect them. "Status report," Jack demanded, his voice steady despite the chaos unfolding before him. Lieutenant Emma Davis glanced up from her console, her eyes hollow. "Earth's orbital defenses are at 12% capacity. Ground forces are scattered and losing communication. The Vex have established beachheads on all continents." Jack nodded, processing the information with military detachment while his heart ached. The Vex had appeared 3 days ago, insectoid aliens with technology far beyond humanity's understanding. Their first message had been simple: humans were too unpredictable, too chaotic to exist in the galactic community. Their elimination was a matter of cosmic security. "Admiral Wilson is requesting an emergency channel," said Communications Officer Ben Roberts. The main screen shifted to show Admiral Wilson's face, smoke and sparks visible behind him. Blood trickled from a cut on his forehead. "Commander Reynolds, this is a direct order," the Admiral said, his voice breaking with static. "Activate Protocol Exodus. Earth is lost." Jack clenched his jaw. "Sir, we still have fighters in the air." "The Mars Defense Fleet is destroyed, Commander. Mars fell an hour ago." The Admiral's eyes hardened. "The Vex don't know about the Thunderchild or the Warstorm Protocol. You need to preserve what might be humanity's last hope." A massive explosion rocked the Admiral's command center. The feed cut out momentarily before returning to show rubble where the Admiral had stood. "Channel lost, sir," Ben said quietly. Jack stood frozen for only a moment before military discipline took over. "Sound the evacuation order. All personnel to transport shuttles. Transfer all Warstorm data to the Thunderchild secure servers." The lunar base erupted into controlled chaos as soldiers and scientists rushed to follow orders. Jack strode down the corridor toward the secure hangar where Earth's most classified military project waited. The Thunderchild sat in the cavernous lunar hangar, sleek and dangerous, a prototype warship built with technology reverse-engineered from a crashed alien vessel found decades ago. Unlike the bulky human carriers being destroyed in orbit, the Thunderchild was elegant, with smooth lines and advanced weapon systems integrated into its hull. Dr. Linda West met Jack at the ship's entrance ramp. "The neural interface is loaded, and the Warstorm protocol is secure," she reported. "But Jack, it's still experimental. We haven't completed the final testing phase." "Testing just became live combat," Jack replied grimly. "Are the command codes transferred?" Linda nodded. "Yes. You'll have full control once we're aboard." "Commander." Emma called, running toward them with a tablet. "Incoming transmission from the Vex command ship. They're broadcasting across all frequencies." Jack took the tablet, and the face of a Vex appeared, mandibles clicking, compound eyes glittering with alien intelligence. "People of Earth," the creature spoke through a translation system. "Your resistance has ended. Your military forces are defeated. Your leaders are dead or captured. We have won this war. Those who surrender will be allowed to live under our supervision. Those who continue to resist will be eliminated." Jack handed the tablet back to Emma. "They think it's over. Let's make sure they're wrong." He turned to the gathered personnel. 50 of Luna Base's best soldiers, engineers, and scientists board the Thunderchild. We leave in 10 minutes. As the crew boarded, Jack entered the ship's command center. The neural interface chair awaited at the center, a marvel of human ingenuity combined with alien technology. The Warstorm Protocol was humanity's secret weapon, a system that would connect human minds directly to combat systems, bypassing the delays of physical controls and allowing instantaneous reactions. Pre-flight checks complete, reported Tom Wilson, the ship's chief engineer. Reactor at 100%. Stealth systems engaged. Jack settled into the neural interface chair. Seal all hatches. Prepare for departure. The Thunderchild hummed to life around him. Through the viewports, Jack could see the hangar doors opening to reveal the star-filled void beyond. Earth hung in space, beautiful despite the flashes of weapons fire that scarred its atmosphere. "Sir," Emma said from the communication station. "We're receiving scattered transmissions from surviving human outposts across the solar system. Some military units are still intact. Send them the coded signal," Jack ordered. "Tell them to go dark and wait for further instructions." The Thunderchild lifted off, slipping out of the lunar hangar with barely a whisper from its engines. As the ship accelerated away from Earth's orbit, the crew watched in silence as the Vex ships surrounded their home world, victoriously claiming their prize. "They think they've won," Jack said quietly. "They have no idea what's coming." On the main screen, a Vex battle cruiser passed directly overhead, its sensors failing to detect the stealth human vessel beneath it. The alien ship continued toward Earth, joining the occupation fleet. "Plot a course for the Jupiter outpost," Jack ordered. "We need to gather what's left of our forces." As the Thunderchild's engines powered up for the jump to Jupiter, Jack accessed the Warstorm Protocol for the first time. The neural interface activated, connecting his mind directly to the ship's systems. Information flooded his consciousness, weapon capabilities, engine status, enemy positions, all processed at the speed of thought. "Warstorm Protocol online," the ship's AI announced. "Neural sync at 85% efficiency." Jack felt the ship become an extension of himself, responding to his thoughts as if it were part of his own body. The Vex had no knowledge of this technology. They believed they were fighting conventional human forces, not warriors neurally linked to their machines. "They declared victory too soon," Jack said as the Thunderchild accelerated toward Jupiter, vanishing into the darkness of space. "They've never faced a warstorm." Behind them, Earth burned under alien occupation, its defenders scattered and defeated. But across the solar system, the coded signal reached hidden outposts and fleeing ships. The message was simple but powerful: Earth has fallen. The enemy thinks they've won. Maintain silence. Await the warstorm. The war for humanity's survival had only just begun. 3 months after Earth's fall, the Thunderchild drifted silently through the asteroid field surrounding Mars. Commander Jack Reynolds stood on the bridge, watching the red planet through the viewscreen. Once a thriving colony with millions of inhabitants, Mars now lay under Vex control, its domed cities cracked open like eggs. "Proximity alert," Emma whispered from her station. "Ship approaching bearing 037. Jack nodded. "Hold position. Maintain stealth systems." The crew tensed as a battered transport vessel appeared from behind a large asteroid. It moved cautiously, using the field for cover. "It's the Hermes," Ben confirmed from communications. "Admiral Miller's ship. They're transmitting the recognition code." Jack allowed himself a small smile. "Establish secure channel." The view screen flickered, revealing Admiral Anna Miller's weathered face. Her once perfect uniform was worn, and her eyes carried the haunted look common to all human survivors. "Commander Reynolds," she said. "Good to see you survived the initial attack." "Likewise, Admiral. We have room in our docking bay if you'd like to come aboard." Hours later, they sat in the Thunderchild's conference room. Admiral Miller studied the holographic display showing the scattered remnants of humanity's forces across the solar system. "You've been busy," she commented, noting the dozen blinking lights representing human ships that had joined their cause. But it's not enough to challenge the Vex. Jack activated another display showing schematics of the Warstorm protocol. This might change that assessment, Admiral. Engineer Tom Wilson stood up, his hands animated as he explained. The Warstorm protocol isn't just an advanced weapon system. It's a neural interface that links human consciousness directly to our ship systems. In practical terms, Jack added, it means our reaction times are instantaneous, no delay between thought and action. One pilot becomes their entire ship. Admiral Miller frowned. That's impossible. The human brain can't process that much information. Dr. Linda West stepped forward. Actually, it can. We discovered that the brain has untapped potential when connected to the right interface. The Warstorm harnesses that potential. She pointed to a section of the schematic. We've also discovered that multiple pilots can link together, creating a sort of combat hive mind while maintaining individual control of their vessels. The Admiral's eyes widened. And the Vex don't know about this technology? No, Jack confirmed. We kept it completely compartmentalized. Only the Lunar Research Base had the full specs, and we evacuated all data before it fell. Admiral Miller stood, pacing the room as she processed this information. We need more ships, more pilots. That's why we called you here, Jack said. Your rank gives you authority over any surviving military units. Together, we can gather what's left of humanity's fleet. The Admiral nodded decisively. Let's get to work. Over the next weeks, coded messages spread through the hidden corners of the solar system. Human survivors, military and civilian alike, began making their way to the rendezvous point in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. The fleet grew, first 5 ships, then 12, then 20. Each vessel carried its own story of narrow escape and desperate survival. Deep in the Thunderchild's engineering bay, Tom worked tirelessly to adapt the Warstorm protocol for installation on the other ships. The neural interfaces are the tricky part, he explained to Jack during a late-night inspection. They need to be calibrated for each pilot's unique brain patterns. Jack watched as technicians carefully installed the delicate equipment into a salvaged military cruiser. How long until the entire fleet is equipped? Tom wiped sweat from his brow. Another 2 weeks, maybe 3. But Jack, he lowered his voice, there's something I've discovered. When multiple pilots link through Warstorm, there's a sort of amplification effect. The neural connection becomes stronger than the sum of its parts. Is that dangerous? Jack asked. Not dangerous, but powerful in ways we don't fully understand yet. Meanwhile, Admiral Miller established a command structure among the growing fleet. Training sessions began, with experienced pilots learning to use the new neural interfaces. The first attempts were disorienting, with pilots overwhelmed by the direct neural connection to their ships. But soon they adapted, and the results were remarkable. It's like becoming the ship, one pilot explained after a training run. I don't push buttons to fire weapons. I just decide to fire, and it happens. As their preparations continued, information trickled in from Earth through encrypted quantum transmissions. A resistance movement had formed among the surviving humans, led by a former Marine named Mike Green. His guerrilla forces conducted hit-and-run attacks against Vex installations, gathering intelligence and sabotaging alien operations. Jack studied the reports in his quarters. Earth's resistance was brave but outmatched. Without external support, they would eventually be crushed by the Vex superior technology. Time was running out. A knock at his door interrupted his thoughts. Admiral Miller entered, carrying a data tablet. Our scouts have returned from Jupiter's moons, she said, handing him the tablet. The Vex have established major processing centers on Ganymede and Callisto. They're stripping resources at an alarming rate. Jack reviewed the scouts' footage. Massive Vex harvesters tore into the moon's surfaces, extracting valuable minerals. They're not just occupying our system. They're consuming it. "There's something else," the admiral added. The scout ships used passive warstorm protocols during their reconnaissance. The Vex scanners never detected them. We were able to get close enough to intercept their communications. Jack looked up sharply. "What did you learn?" "The Vex aren't a unified species. They're a collective of different insectoid races unified under a central hive mind. And they're afraid of humans." "Afraid?" "They conquered us in less than a week." Admiral Miller's eyes gleamed. "They fear our unpredictability, our chaotic nature. That's why they attacked, not because we were a threat now, but because we might become one in the future." Jack stood, moving to the viewport where Earth was a distant blue dot. "Then they should be very afraid of what's coming." The next day, the command staff gathered on the Thunderchild's bridge. Jack activated the main display, showing a Vex supply convoy near Jupiter. "This is our first target," he announced. 3 transport ships with minimal escort, carrying processed minerals from Jupiter's moons to their fleet at Earth. He looked at the assembled officers. "It's time to show the Vex that humanity is not defeated." Admiral Miller nodded in agreement. "All ships prepare for combat operations. This is the beginning of our counterattack." As the human fleet moved into position, hidden among the asteroids, Jack connected to the Warstorm neural interface. The familiar rush of information flooded his mind as he became one with the Thunderchild. Around him, 20 other ships activated their interfaces, their pilots experiencing the same transformation. Then something new happened. As planned, Tom activated the fleet-wide neural network. Suddenly, Jack could sense the other pilots, not their thoughts, but their presence, their intentions, their tactical awareness. 21 ships became a single organism with multiple parts, all moving with perfect coordination. Warstorm protocol fully engaged, Tom's voice announced over the comm, all ships reporting successful neural synchronization. Jack felt the power of their combined consciousness, directed toward a single purpose. The Vex had declared victory too soon. They had conquered Earth, but they had never faced the full fury of humanity's ingenuity. The warstorm was gathering, and soon it would break upon the unsuspecting enemy. The human fleet hung motionless among the asteroids surrounding Jupiter, their stealth systems rendering them invisible to Vex scanners. Through the neural link of the Warstorm protocol, Jack felt rather than saw the positions of the 20 other ships in their formation. Their crew's collective consciousness hummed at the edge of his awareness, focused, determined, ready. "Vex convoy approaching," Emma reported, her voice calm despite the tension filling the bridge. 3 minutes until they enter the kill zone." Admiral Miller's voice came through the neural link. "Remember the plan. Hit fast, hit hard, and withdraw before reinforcements arrive. This isn't about destroying their entire convoy. It's about showing them we still exist." Jack acknowledged with a thought, the neural interface translating his intention into a status light on the Admiral's display. He focused on the approaching Vex ships, 3 massive cargo vessels flanked by 2 escort fighters. They moved with mechanical precision, unaware of the trap they were entering. "All ships, final positions," Jack ordered, both verbally and through the neural link. The human vessels adjusted slightly, nestling deeper into the asteroid field. "Weapons hot. Prepare to engage on my mark." Through the view screen, the Vex convoy came into visual range. Up close, their biomechanical design was even more alien, hulls that seemed to blend metal with organic components, pulsing with an internal light that shifted between green and purple. "They're scanning the asteroid field," Ben warned from communications. "Standard sweep pattern." Jack closed his eyes, feeling the Thunderchild systems as extensions of his own body. He could sense the weapon capacitors charging, the engines ready to burst into life. Through the neural network, he felt the same readiness from the other ships. "Now," he commanded. 21 human vessels erupted from their hiding places simultaneously. The Thunderchild surged forward under Jack's mental command, weapons targeting the lead escort fighter without him touching a single control. Across the formation, the other ships executed similarly perfect attack runs. The Vex responded immediately, but their reaction seemed sluggish compared to the neural-enhanced human attack. The escort fighters turned to engage, but they were already caught in crossfire from 3 different angles. "They're transmitting distress signals," Ben reported. "Calling for reinforcements." Jack didn't respond verbally. Through the Warstorm link, he directed the Thunderchild into a complex evasive pattern that no human pilot could have executed manually. Enemy fire passed harmlessly through space where his ship had been a fraction of a second earlier. The battle evolved in real time, with the human fleet moving with unprecedented coordination. No verbal orders were needed, intentions flowed through the neural network instantly. Ships covered each other's blind spots, concentrated fire on critical targets, and adapted to changing conditions faster than the Vex could respond. "First escort is down," reported Emma as one of the Vex fighters exploded in a burst of green flame. The cargo vessels attempted to scatter, but they were too slow. Precision weapons fire from the human fleet disabled their engines, leaving them drifting helplessly. Second escort attempting to retreat, Tom called out from his station. Jack felt Admiral Miller's intention through the link before she verbalized it. "Let it go. We want survivors to report what happened here." The fleeing Vex fighter accelerated away, transmitting continuously as it escaped. Jack directed the Thunderchild toward the nearest cargo vessel, bringing it alongside the much larger ship. "Boarding teams ready," he ordered. "We have 10 minutes before Vex reinforcements arrive." Armed Marines in spacesuits launched from the Thunderchild's airlocks, crossing the short distance to the Vex cargo ship's hull. They placed breaching charges at key points, blasting their way inside. Captain Mike Green's voice came over the comm from Earth's resistance. Their quantum communication allowed instantaneous transmission even across the vast distance. "We're receiving your battle feed," he said, excitement evident in his voice. "First good news we've had in months. The Vex command on Earth is going crazy trying to figure out what's happening." "Boarding team reporting success," Ben announced. "They've secured the cargo ship's data core and are downloading Vex navigational charts." Jack smiled. "Tell them they have 5 minutes, then we're leaving." Through the neural link, he felt a warning from one of the outlying ships. Their sensors had detected multiple Vex vessels exiting faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Jupiter system. "Reinforcements arriving," Jack announced. "All ships prepare for immediate withdrawal. Boarding teams execute emergency extraction." The Marines hurried back to the Thunderchild, bringing with them not just the data core but also samples of Vex technology torn from the ship's control systems. As the last team member cleared the airlock, Jack gave the order to withdraw. "All ships scatter according to Plan Delta. Rendezvous at the secondary location in 12 hours. The human fleet dispersed in multiple directions, making it impossible for the arriving Vex reinforcements to track them all. The Thunderchild accelerated away from Jupiter, its advanced engines quickly putting distance between them and the battle zone. In the aftermath, the command staff gathered in the Thunderchild strategy room. The neural interfaces were disconnected, leaving them feeling strangely isolated after the shared consciousness of combat. That was. Admiral Miller searched for words, "Unlike anything I've experienced in 30 years of military service." Tom nodded enthusiastically. The neural synchronization exceeded all projections. "Your collective reaction time was 400% faster than standard combat operations." Dr. Linda West studied the medical readouts on her tablet. The pilot's vital signs remained stable throughout. No signs of neural strain or psychological distress from the shared consciousness. Jack turned to the main screen, which displayed the data stolen from the Vex cargo ship. "What have we learned?" Tom brought up a series of alien schematics. Their navigational charts show major supply routes throughout the solar system. They're establishing a resource extraction network primarily focused on Jupiter's moons and the asteroid belt. And their communication protocols? Jack asked. Partially decoded, Ben replied. Enough to monitor their basic transmissions. Maybe even enough to create interference. Admiral Miller studied the tactical display. They'll increase security on all convoys now. Our next strike needs to be bigger. Hit multiple targets simultaneously. Jack nodded in agreement. We also need to contact Earth's resistance. Captain Green's teams can provide intelligence on Vex movements and maybe even coordinate ground attacks with our space operations. As they discussed future plans, a message came through on the quantum communicator. Captain Green's voice filled the room. Commander Reynolds, you won't believe the reaction your attack has caused. The Vex are in disarray. They've never faced anything like the coordination your ships displayed. He paused. But there's something else. They're conducting house-to-house searches in major cities, looking for something specific. What are they looking for? Jack asked. According to our sources inside their communication network, they're searching for information about something called Warstorm. They're afraid of it. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Somehow the Vex had learned the name of humanity's secret weapon, even if they didn't understand what it was. They should be afraid, Admiral Miller said quietly. Because next time, we're bringing the full storm. As the Thunderchild and the scattered human fleet made their way to the rendezvous point, news of their victory spread among human survivors throughout the solar system. For the first time since Earth's fall, hope began to replace despair. The seemingly invincible Vex had been bloodied by a surprise attack. On his private terminal, Jack reviewed footage from the battle. The human ships had moved like a single organism, with perfect coordination that no conventional fleet could match. The Warstorm protocol had proven itself beyond their highest expectations. They think they know what's coming, he muttered to the empty room. They have no idea. Across the solar system, more human survivors began emerging from hiding, making their way toward the growing fleet. The resistance on Earth stepped up its operations, emboldened by the knowledge that they weren't fighting alone. The first strike had been delivered. The Warstorm was building. The asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter had become humanity's hidden fortress. Over the past month, the fleet had grown to 47 ships, a mix of military vessels, retrofitted civilian craft, and captured Vex transports. Inside the largest asteroid, hollowed out decades ago as a mining outpost, the human resistance had established their primary base. Jack stood in the central command center, watching as Tom Wilson made final adjustments to the upgraded Warstorm protocol. Engineers and technicians swarmed around the neural interface hub, a massive circular structure with dozens of connection points. This is going to change everything, Tom said, not looking up from his work. His eyes were bloodshot from lack of sleep, but enthusiasm animated his movements. The original protocol linked individual pilots to their ships. This upgrade will link all pilots to each other and to the entire fleet simultaneously. Admiral Miller approached, studying the hub with skeptical eyes. You're sure this won't overload their neural pathways? The human brain isn't designed to process that much information. Tom straightened up, wiping his hands on a rag. That's the beauty of it. The neural interface distributes the load across all connected minds. No single pilot bears the full burden. He gestured to the hub. When active, this creates what we're calling a battle mind, a temporary shared consciousness focused entirely on combat operations. And after disconnection? Jack asked, concerned about potential side effects. Dr. Linda West joined them, carrying a tablet with medical data. All tests show pilots return to normal brain function after disconnection. There may be some lingering awareness of others who shared the link, a kind of emotional echo, but it fades within hours. Admiral Miller nodded slowly. We'll need this advantage for what comes next. She activated the holographic display at the center of the room, showing the asteroid belt and the positions of known Vex forces. Our scouts report the Vex have assembled a major battle group here, near Ceres. Nearly 30 warships. Jack studied the display. They're expecting another hit-and-run attack like before. Exactly, the Admiral replied. But that's not what we're going to give them. She expanded the display to show the entire inner solar system. We're going to hit them everywhere at once. The command staff gathered around as Admiral Miller outlined the plan. It was bold, perhaps even reckless, but after months of hiding and careful planning, the time had come for a decisive move. The Vex still don't understand how we're coordinating our attacks, she explained. Their tactics rely on overwhelming force and their hive mind, but our warstorm gives us something they don't have, individual initiative combined with perfect coordination. Jack pointed to the area near Earth. What about the resistance forces on the ground? A new voice answered from the communication terminal. We're ready to play our part, Commander. Captain Mike Green's face appeared on screen, the Earth resistance leader looking more gaunt than when they last spoke. My teams are positioned near key Vex communication relays. On your signal, we'll take them down simultaneously. The briefing continued for another hour, detailing every aspect of the upcoming operation. When it concluded, Jack returned to the Thunderchild to prepare his crew. The ship had become a symbol of hope for the Resistance, the first vessel to successfully employ the Warstorm protocol against the Vex. Emma approached him on the bridge. The crew is ready, sir. All systems at full capacity. Jack nodded, looking around at the determined faces of his bridge crew. Get some rest, all of you. Tomorrow we take the fight back to the enemy. That night, Jack couldn't sleep. He stood at the viewport in his quarters, looking out at the assembled fleet, ships of all sizes and designs, united by a common purpose. Some were battle-scarred from previous engagements, others freshly modified with salvaged technology. Together, they represented humanity's last, best hope. His door chimed softly. Enter, he called. Admiral Miller stepped inside, carrying 2 cups of synthetic coffee. She handed one to Jack. Couldn't sleep either. He accepted the cup with a grateful nod. Thinking about tomorrow. Second thoughts, she asked. No. Jack took a sip of the bitter liquid. But I am thinking about what happens if we succeed. The Vex still outnumber us. Even if tomorrow goes perfectly, this is just the beginning of a long war. The Admiral stood beside him at the viewport. One battle at a time, Commander. She raised her cup slightly. To tomorrow. Jack mirrored the gesture. To tomorrow. At 0600 hours ship time, the fleet prepared for departure. Pilots connected to their neural interfaces, and the new Warstorm hub activated, linking them all together. Jack settled into his command chair on the Thunderchild's bridge, feeling the familiar rush as his consciousness merged with the ship's systems. But this time, there was more. As the fleet-wide link established, he became aware of dozens of other minds, not their specific thoughts, but their presence, their emotions, their intentions. It wasn't intrusive but rather comforting, like being part of something larger than himself. Warstorm protocol active at 100%.